We know he's old because he now lives alone, and he says he can no longer live as he once did as a young man. And he finds himself driving just to drive. He takes a left, then a right. His car eventually gets stuck on a forest road, and he basically can't move his car, and he starts to wonder what he can do. And his brain is trying to come up with rational decisions here so he can solve his problems and get out. It starts to snow, so it starts getting very cold for no fault of his own. He maybe doesn't even think his way through it. He ends up getting out of the car and progressing forward on this road in the dark and snowy forest. And then his mind really starts to waver. He starts getting very cold. He becomes totally lost. And then he sees a shining presence. At first, he thinks it's a person. He gets closer, he realizes it's not a person. He has some very, I'd say, one way conversations with this shining figure. And although the shining figure doesn't really answer core questions as much as just saying that the shining figure is walking beside him and is there around him. It's described as luminous in its whiteness, shining from within. And he can so there's this sense of this is a godlike being. He at one point compares it to an angel. He doesn't know if it's a good angel or a bad angel, if it's God, if it's something else, but we know it's otherworldly. And meanwhile, his thoughts are starting to degrade, and we get the sense as readers that he's dying and that this is the
Hmm.
end of his life. And we don't know how intentional it was that he would die here. He asks himself, did I know I was going to die? Is this why I came here? Or was it actually just bad luck that he ended up on this forest road stranded in the wilderness?
Mm.
Towards the end of the
And
book, yeah, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, what's like the aboutness, do you think, of this book, if you had to describe it in a minute?
I think it's a meditation on dying and on spirituality and the sense of an afterlife without ever coming down with a firm hand and saying this is how things are. I think most interesting in this book is we have a contrast between banality and represented in his stream of consciousness, the repetitiveness, the waveriness of his thoughts, the bouncing back and forth between what's right, what's wrong,